Hi everyone, it's Andrea over at Sewspire.com, and I am here today to show you how to make this super sweet linen hip bag. So this bag is unique for a couple different reasons. One, it's crafted from linen, which I think it's pretty rare to find a bag from linen, but linen really is a superior fiber. And it's so much fun to sew with. I especially love using linen for spring and summer projects. You'll notice that there's some pleating here in the gusset of this bag, and that adds a really nice detail to it. Then we have a swivel closure here that attaches to the bottom, and that's what this hardware looks like. In case you want to pick some up, and I got that at Joann's. And then you're also going to need, while you're there, a swivel hook, because on the inside there is a key fob. So the bag closes via this hook here. Then I absolutely love this little pocket right under the flap there. That's a great place to put the things you like to keep close at hand. And then inside you have a generously sized compartment here, and plenty of room for a wallet, a little cosmetic bag. As I mentioned, there's a swivel key fob inside, and then that all closes up, and you can wear it crossbody like that. Or if you like it a little shorter, you could always knot that strap and then wear it right on your shoulder. But I absolutely love the bag. It's one of my original designs. If you enjoy sewing bags, you may want to check out my Watermelon Wishes Etsy shop, because I currently have a tutorial bundle that you can get for super low price, $5.99, and that's available for instant download, and I'll put the link in the notes field. But shall we get started with this project? There's a lot of different pieces with a lot of different measurements, and I'm just going to put a roundup of all of those measurements in the notes. You can also head on over to Sewspire.com and search crossbody bag or hip bag, and you will see everything nice and neat round up there for you. Okay, so we're going to begin with the exterior body panel, which your original cut will measure 9 inches tall by 11 inches wide, and all of these pattern pieces are going to be interfaced with a heavyweight Pellon iron-on interfacing, and that'll give this bag its body. So take that body panel, and you're going to fold it in half, and then I just want you to angle those bottom corners, okay? And the way that I did that is I measured up 3 inches and over about 2 inches, and then I just folded that in half and angled that to give it this great shape here. You go ahead and do that for all 4 body panels and your flap. And again, all those measurements for the original pattern pieces are in the notes field. Okay, so using one of the body panels, we're going to cut a 7-inch slit in that, okay? And that's going to be for that pocket. The easiest way to do that is with some tailor's chalk ruler and a rotary cutter, and you just draw out your 7-inch line and then gently cut along that with the rotary cutter. So with this piece here that has the hole, we want to craft that pocket that's tucked right under the flap. So we're going to use 2 pieces of cotton fabric that measure 5 by 8, and what you're going to do is position that one piece right side down right on top of that slit. Okay, so here's the opening, is on the bottom, and that fabric is just going to butt right up against that top, and then stitch only the 7 inches. So that's going to leave a 1/2 inch overhang on both sides. So that top piece is attached. Then I'm going to take the remaining piece and do the same thing, right side facing down, and I'm going to stitch along the bottom edge of that opening. So you could see there, so right across the bottom there. Okay, now you should have something that looks like this, and there's the opening. Now you want to take the little 1/2 inch wings on either side and bring those in. You can press them at the iron, or you may even be able to press them with your nail. I'm going to go ahead and use the iron because I do want those to lay nice and flat. Okay, now you should have something that looks like this, and that's what it looks like on the back side. And you're going to fold over those pieces and tuck them inward. So fold them into that little opening and pull them both out on that back side like that. And then your front looks like this. And just go ahead and adjust those. Pull them as tight as you can there. And then from the front, flatten everything out nice. You want them to look even, so you may want to pull just a little bit in so it looks nice and tidy. And then once you're happy with how that looks, head on over to the iron and press that flat. That's what the front of that looks like now. And then on the back, you still have those 2 panels. You're going to bring those together and stitch across the sides and the base. Alright, and what you've done now is actually create that pocket so that you could put something inside of there. Then the last thing you need to do is just tack down these little side edges here on either side. Just go back and forth with a forward and a backward stitch, and that'll just hold everything in place there. Alright, now we have a super cute pocket. And now we want to work on crafting that gusset, okay? Now, this has some great little pleats in it, and the way that you get that, you're going to start with a piece of fabric that's 9 inches wide by 28 inches long, and you're just going to work like, you know, when you were a kid and you'd make the paper fans and you just fold it over and over and over like that. You're going to do that and then press it at the iron flat and then stitch down those folds. Now you don't have to worry. You see how like my stitching even goes sideways and wonky? Perfection is not the goal. What we just really want is that detail and those layers, those kind of ridges there. So the only other factor that you need to keep in mind when making this is you want this piece to end up 3 inches wide, okay? So another simpler thing to do would be to cut a piece of linen that's 3 inches by 28 inches and just use that. But if you like the detail here and that thickness, go ahead and create those pleats. And then once you have that bottom gusset, you're going to mark the center base of that pocket panel, okay? So I'm just going to fold it slightly and then put a pin in there to mark center. And then you're going to want to do the same thing, fold your gusset in half and mark center. And we're going to begin at the center, pinning that gusset to that exterior panel. and you just go one side at a time, and at those angled corners you just gently turn that. Keep pinning it. Okay, and now you have something that looks like this. You do have some extra overhang at the top here. Don't worry about that. That's a great thing to have. They should be, those little tabs there, that overhang should be fairly even if you started in the center. And the reason that I offered you that additional allowance is if you go a little wide on the corners, you'll still be successful with this, but that's not going to hurt the project at all. So again, please don't worry about that. So you've got this gusset in place. Now we're going to stitch all the way around that bottom edge and attach that. I am using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can use whatever you're comfortable with, just be consistent. Okay, I've made it all the way around and one side of the exterior is done. Now I want to take the remaining exterior panel, which same measurements with the angled corners, and I want to get the center point there at the base. Put a little pin in that. And I already have center marked here on the bottom, so I just want to again begin right there at the center and pin that in place, working one side at a time to ensure that this stays nice and even. Okay, I have that back side all pinned in. Now what we want to do is, before we sew this down, we want to create the little tab piece that we're going to attach that buckle, that hardware to. So that is crafted from a piece of linen which is 4 inches wide by 16 inches long, and just fold that in half and stitch down one side. I'm going to fold that in half, and we just want to cut it right in half, and then we want to go ahead and turn these right side out. If you have a little turning stick, you could do that, or this is wide enough that you can turn it with your finger as well. Okay, and then you should have 2 8-inch tubes. Go ahead and press those flat. We only need one of these right now. We'll use the second one when we make the flap. So now you're going to need your buckle, which there's the ID, the number on this is 729-65, and it's a Dritz large hook and D-ring. So you're going to go ahead and get that out of its packaging. And you need the D-ring part of this now. So just go ahead and thread that through the bottom of that D-ring, and there should be, it's designed to be a little wider, so it kind of offers like a little pleaty look there. You want to fold that in half. Go ahead and stitch along that raw edge to hold everything on the back side, so the side without the pocket. All right, right at center, just remove that pin and then put that D-ring in there, in between that gusset and that front or rear panel, rear body panel. And you just want to center that, and you should have about 1/2 inch of that tail hanging out, and go ahead and pin that in place. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see inside of there, but now the D-ring and the tab are in there. It's kind of hard to see because it's black, but you just want to make sure it's centered and you have that 1/2 inch out, and then go ahead and stitch that back panel all the way down using the same 3/8 of an inch. And when you get to that little D-ring tab, go ahead and back stitch and reinforce that. Made it all the way around, and now the exterior is complete. Before you turn this right side out, just check all of those seams and make sure that you have at least the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance there, because linen does fray a little bit. You don't want eventually a little hole to wear through if the seam was too close. So if you find any areas that it's too narrow, go in and go ahead and add a little more distance in there. And if everything looks good, you can turn this right side out, and you should have your D-ring tab hanging off the back there. And then on the front, you have your little pocket. Now you're going to want to fold this top edge inward a 1/2 inch, and I like to press it because this linen will stay put once you press it. So go ahead and fold that down and then give it a press. Before you press it though, make sure that you have it nice and even. Alright, so that's what it looks like with the edge turned inward. Now for the interior, you're going to craft it in the same way, just omit the closure and the pleating on the gusset. So your interior gusset will just be that 3 by 28 inches. You can create the pocket in the same fashion if you like for the interior, or you can just do a traditional pocket. I have photos of that process for you, but it's basically you're putting it together the exact same way. I want to go ahead and move on to the key fob, which you may choose to attach to the interior seams, or in this case we're going to attach it in between the 2 layers towards the end. But you're going to use the same construction process to craft the strap as well. So you'll fold that key fob fabric, which is 5 by 10, in half, and then press that, and then you'll open that up and bring those raw edges inward to meet on that center press line, and then fold that over, stitch down the open end first and then the reverse side. Okay, so I have my key fob, and now I want to unpackage that hardware. And the number on this one was 512, and it's also by Drips, and it's just called a swivel hook. And you just slide that right on there and then fold it in half. And we'll set this aside until we're ready to use it. Now the strap, as mentioned, is crafted using the same technique, okay? I use 5-inch wide piece of linen by the full 44 inches, which is the length typically of the fabric there. Now you can custom fit your strap to your dimensions. So that just happens to sit and fit perfectly for me. But please do size yours if you need to make that extended, create a longer strap. But you're going to craft it in the same way. Take the linen, fold it in half, bring the raw edges in to meet on that center. And then I inserted a 2.5 inch wide by the length of the strap piece of the Pellon and ironed that into that center channel. And that gives the strap some more body. So you'll stitch down the open end first and then the opposite end. Strap can then also be set aside with the key fob. And now we want to craft the flap. So you're going to need the remaining piece of hardware, the little buckle, that extra 8-inch tube that we created, and then go ahead and thread that through that buckle and just fold that in half and stitch down those raw edges. Now you'll need 2 pieces of cotton fabric for the flap, and these are 9 inches tall by 10 inches wide. And I did the same thing, created that angle by folding it in half and then angling it to give it that kind of rounded bottom there, just like we did with the bag. It's the same exact dimensions to angle that. The only difference with the flap is we're an inch shorter on the width. So one piece of the flap has the Pellon on the back. Go ahead and place that down on your tabletop and then find center on that. You can give it a press or use a pin, and you want to go ahead and lay that hook on there, and you may want to pin this closer to the top because that hardware could drop down and then get caught in your seam, and you don't want that. So that's centered. And then go ahead and take your remaining piece of cotton and put that right sides facing, and you can put a couple pins to hold that. Then we want to stitch all the way around the sides and across the base. You can reinforce where the hook is, and I'm just using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I want to leave the top open so I can flip that around and press it. And you can trim off that extra there across the bottom because you don't want to make a little bump in your flap. Alright, I have a beautiful flap there. I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch all the way around. That looks great. Then I'm going to take the interior, which I pre-crafted, but you're going to make in the same fashion. Fold that interior edge outward the 1/2 inch and press that, and you want to go ahead and fit that inside the exterior. Begin by lining up those side seams. And then you can move to the center and align that and put a couple pins in the front and the back to hold everything nice. Okay, and you can see that fits in there great. Then we want to take and we want the flap, so the pocket is the front and this little D-ring's hanging off the back there. We want to put the flap with that opening of the hook falling forward, and you're going to insert the raw edges of that flap in between the back and that interior layer, and you only need to tuck that in about a 1/2 inch. You want to center it though, and then put pins to hold all of those layers. So you have the interior, the flap, and the exterior. And that's what that looks like. And then this hook you want to test fit that and make sure it reaches. It will close just like that. And if there's too much droop for you, you can go ahead and move, your flap back or forward, however you like. I don't mind that at all, so that's nice. Then you want to open that flap up and go ahead and insert your strap, one end of that centered on the side, and you can tuck that in there at least an inch and a half, because you're going to want to reinforce the strap. Okay, and then you have your key fob here, and you just tuck both raw edges in between that interior and exterior layer, and you can position that wherever you would like it. I'm just going to do it to the left here of that pocket so it's easy to find. You also have the option to attach that to the interior seam. And then all I have to do is remove the machine deck and stitch all the way around this edge. I'm going to have a really awesome bag. so that turned out super cute. I'm very happy with this design. I hope you enjoyed the project and you will check out some of my other tutorials. You can do that over at sewspire.com. I will be back soon with another inspired project. Until then, as always, please know the creative genius in me celebrates the creative genius in you. Have a beautiful day, everyone.